Hey, what is up, everyone? This is your girl, Miss Sophia the Diva, and I just thought I would hop on here before the Grammys and talk about power. I didn't get a chance to talk about it last week because I was tired. I mean, ain't nothing I could say about that. But I also want to take a moment to send out my condolences to all of the Kobe Bryant fans, his family, his friends. I am so sorry for you guys' loss. Many people are shocked. I was not personally a fan of Kobe Bryant, but I did respect him a lot for his work ethic. And I think it is very unfortunate and tragic how TMZ reported the news before the family was notified. Unfortunately, we live in an age where everyone wants to be first for everything. And that's why a lot of times we see people say, please don't post on social media before all of the family can be informed. And unfortunately, they weren't. Rest in peace to his daughter, Gigi. I can only imagine how Vanessa feels, knowing that she's lost not only a child, but also her husband as well. And I'm deeply affected by it, despite the fact, like I said, I'm not a fan. I was not a fan of Kobe Bryant. I respect him for his work ethic, but just to know how close in proximity and age we are, that kind of shook me a little. But one thing I can say is that God is close to the brokenhearted. And we also know that in his 41 years, Kobe lived a great life. So let's just be at peace with that. So, but anyways, I just want to comment on that from the top. To my people on YouTube, if this is your first time on this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. To my people on Facebook, well, this is my personal page I do this from, and then I post it to my public one later. And to my people on Periscope, welcome. Either way, if this is your first time here, I'm Miss Sophia the Diva. And because I did not get a chance to talk about last week's episode, I'm going to talk about it. This was probably one of the best episodes we've seen since we've been going down this path to figure out who shot Ghost. This episode focused on Tommy. And of course, it focused on the day before James St. Patrick Ghost was murdered. Okay. More like assassinated. I'm pretty sure it was probably patricide. If you really think about it, because I'm pretty sure that it was probably little Tariq that murdered his father. Okay, so when the episode opens, because I took notes, we open with Elisa Marie at her aunt's house, and her aunt is, I don't know the actress's name, but we see her in a lot of things, and it was so good to see her. And Elisa Marie knows something is off because Uncle Benny is missing. And we all know what became of Uncle Benny. We know that Uncle Benny is now in a landfill somewhere because Tommy has paid someone to get rid of his body in a vehicle. First of all, Uncle Benny should have never showed up with a knife to a gunfight. We all know Tommy is always packing. So Tommy decides that it's time for him to get the hell out of town since he done killed Benny. He goes to I think his mom came to him. I can't remember exactly, but all I know is that she found out that Keisha was dead. And Tommy still believes that Ghost is the one that killed his beloved. And his mother tries to tell him, babe, it ain't him. Ghost is better than that. Y'all are like brothers. But nonetheless, he's not listening to his mother. He is going to get the hell out of town. Some kind of way, Elisa Marie put two and two together. She has found the little drive that her father gave her. And so, she's listening to it. Her aunt discovers that, it's the voice of, Ghost and Tommy on there talking about the killing of some dude. And she wants to authenticate it. I said, oh, well, this girl was raised by two attorneys. So, yes, we want to authenticate and see whose voice is actually on here, right? So they end up meeting up with Tariq shitty ass. And I always call Tariq shitty because he is. They meet up with Tariq. Tariq is well, I really don't know anybody. No, I don't know who is Ghost and Tommy. I don't know who Tommy is. And the aunt can already smell bullshit a mile away. Elisa Marie is convinced that because Tariq got her out of the house, that he is in fact her friend. He's not, her aunt lets her know. Because she can smell bullshit a mile away. And he says, well, let me get hold of it, and maybe I could take it to my dad, and maybe he could say if he knows, who it is. And it's like, I ain't buying it. No. So needless to say, Tariq calls Tommy or meets up with Tommy and tells Tommy what he knows. And all Tommy wants to know is where the fuck is Elisa Marie? While hanging outside of Club Truth after spying on Ghost as he announced his race for his candidacy for lieutenant governor, he runs into Clench Jaw Blanca outside of the club, and she tries to get him to turn on Ghost. And I'm thinking to myself, by now you should know that Tommy, as he told her plain as day, I ain't no snitch, okay? So I don't know what it is that you trying to do, but I'm not down with the bullshit, Blanca. We good. But one of the things he did get from her was Keisha's personal effects, and that's when he notices the earring. And everyone who has been watching this show should remember that Holly stole some earrings from Tasha back in the day. And that's when he realizes, this earring looks awfully familiar. Okay, now let me see. Yeah, y'all, I made notes this time on this one. Needless to say, Tommy goes to confront Tasha about the shit that she's done, okay? And it was so funny to me and so ironic how we had poor Tasha, oh, Tommy, please don't kill me. Please take care of Ricky, yes. And I'm thinking to myself, just like your girl begged you not to kill her and asked you to take care of her son, I think this is pretty good for you. Karma came quick, fast, and swiftly. But then Tasha has evidence of the fact that Keisha, number one, here's clue number one, Tommy, when you came into the house, were her bags not packed and ready to go. She was going to turn on all of us. Tommy's like, no, she would never do such a thing. And then she shows him the paper. And while she's standing there begging, he turns and walks away and decides Tasha, you live to lie and be an asshole another day, just like your shitty ass son, okay? Tommy then goes to confront Ghost about the recording, and then Ghost was like, well, hell, I guess, hello. He was like, I guess that, Proctor did us both dirty. And I think that's when they got into the shootout with, which we now know to be Cedric the Entertainer and his son. I couldn't figure out when the dude was laying on the ground. I'm like, what does an old black man have to do with Ghost in the first place? Mainly, let's be real about it, throughout this entire show, for most part, Ghost only dealt with Asians and Eastern Europeans. Let's just be real about that. Tommy thought it was the Italians because Tommy know he done some shit, okay? So when Tommy sees the old black man on the floor, he's like, you're not Italian. I'm like, exactly. So I'm trying to figure out where the fuck did he come from, okay? Next thing you know, he goes to get Elise. He kills the two bodyguards that are supposed to be watching Elisa Marie, and he takes her. And then this whole thing, everything becomes plain to Elisa Marie. She learns that Tommy and Tariq and Ghost and everyone are connected, okay? Tommy learns that Aunt Dolores has a copy and is taking it to Uncle Carlos, who happens to be her great uncle, okay? And if you don't remember Carlos is the one that Tariq enlisted to play his father and Tommy against one another and make them come together because he was out doing fuckboy shit like he always does. So he calls his mom to come over and babysit Elisa Marie. I'm like, do you really think that your mom is a good idea to be babysitting anyone? I don't think so. The mob boss comes to Dolores' damn house because Dolores has found out that little Lisa Marie is missing, and he was like, no matter what, y'all make sure y'all bring Tommy alive to me. Okay? Y'all make sure that happens. While Tommy and his mom are going through their stuff, here it come bust in crackhead looking paws, asking for him to kill Jamie. And we all just like, what the fuck? Why is she even part of the narrative? Elisa Marie and Tommy have a heartfelt conversation about her life and how fucked up it is, how fucked up her parents were. Her daddy let her mama die. She said something about a ring because she was asking about this ring that he had bought for Keisha. Then Tommy ends up talking to Francis, and aka Two-Bit, and he finds out that in the whole swing of things, he was wrong about everything. He tries to tell Tariq this too when he learns about, dude, I was totally wrong. This shit is so fucked up. I really, we're wrong about ghosts. We need to fix this. Everything that happened, we can all be a family again. And Tariq, being the asshole, messed up, dysfunctional child that he is, he says this can never be fixed, which leads me to believe he's going to do the best he can to kill his father when he learns that Uncle Tommy is not going to be the one who pulls the trigger. But I guess Tariq feels as though I'm man enough to do the shit then too. I mean, that kind of hate, that's some deep-seated hate. You would almost think that Ghost was an abusive parent, but he gave Tariq the best possible life he could. On his way to Club Truth, I think it was Tommy literally and figuratively runs into Carlos. And Carlos is aimed and they ready to shoot him. Tommy puts his car into neutral. He ends up killing all the Italians with his gun, except for Carlos. Him and Carlos end up in fisticuffs, and he kills Carlos with his bare hands. And there is the end of the mob. But you still have not cut off the head of the dragon. He was like one step below that other dude. So we'll see how this ends up going. It is Tommy who we see witnesses Ghost take his very last breath. It was very sad because I'm like, oh my God, I thought y'all could be a family again. And it's just not going to happen. Ghost and him make up before Ghost dies, which I think is great. We should mend fences before we die, and they make their peace with each other. We hear the sirens in the background, and Tommy looks up. And he was ready to shoot the person because he saw the person who killed Ghost or shot him. And Ghost is like, just let it go, man. Just let it go. Just let it go. And it's like, nigga, no, we need to shoot Tariq because I'm pretty sure that's who shot Ghost. You can't tell me otherwise. That's the person in the world who hated him the most. Second in command would be Tasha. So he tells him to just let it go. And Ghost dies holding Tommy's hand. Talk about brotherly love. Tommy then goes to his mother's house when all of this is said and done, and she accuses him of killing Ghost. And she told him that he was jealous of Ghost and you were just jealous because he wanted to have a life beyond Queens, and she told him he would never be anything without Ghost. And she told Tommy that he needed to get out of her sight. She also basically told him that Ghost had left her some money, so she didn't need him. Baby, when you finish up smoking up all them 8 balls, you gonna need your son, so you might want to be good to him. And see, this is why Tommy was always trying to do better and better and better, but he never could because Ghost was always strategic. And that's the problem when you deal with certain people in your circle. Sometimes you literally outgrow them. Hey, Cheryl, girl, I know today has been a day, and it's been a very reflective day for many. As I said at the top of this video, I was not a fan of Kobe Bryant, but I did respect his grind. I respected his hustle. So yes. Okay, so people are always shocked when I say that, but I thought many people knew that about me already. But either way, I think that was another telling part. We learned that Dre in his episode had a really shitty mom. We knew that Tommy had a crazy whacked out mom, but we never knew how much she coveted Ghost over her own flesh and blood. And yes, she treated him like that was her own son or whatever, but you'd be surprised how parents will choose other people's kids over their own. Trust me, it happens. Okay. Tommy learns in another conversation, because this whole time, when they're trying to figure out who caused the warehouse to be shut down, he's thinking it's BG, but he learns from 2-Bit that number one, dude, your boy Dre is the one that killed BG, number one. And then he learns again some more information from 2-Bit, and that's the fact that Spotwood is out of jail, Spanky. So Tommy decides he's going to take a ride. His Mustang, he got a new one. I don't know if it's a new one or if he got it restored. I'm assuming he had to have had it restored or maybe bought a new one, because, baby, that thing was nice and clean, wasn't it? So Tommy is getting ready to ride out. But before he leaves to go to California, he's got to make a stop. He catches Spotwood coming out with his yoo-hoo and all of that, right? And so I'm like, hey, Tommy, what's going on? Like shit is kosher when this nigga know he done fucked up, right? So he was like, say, man, yeah, I'm getting ready to do something new. Well, where you going? Well, if I tell you, I have to kill you. And then he was like, come on, man, you can tell me. I'm your boy. And he was like, I'm going to California. Bop! Ooh! Well, Spanky, you should have just kept your mouth closed. 2-Bit, you live to fight another day. But your boy Spanky, he is dead to the concrete. Tommy then goes to Lisa Marie. A lot of the bloggers that I've watched so far that talked about this episode said this was like a Kill Bill type scene. I never finished watching Kill Bill. I didn't like it. It didn't engage me, but I know to each their own. I told you I'm different. I'm so very different when it comes to popularity of things. I don't always follow everyone else's likes and dislikes. Pumpkin, get out of there. Miss Pumpkin. Y'all know my Shih Tzu be into a lot of stuff, and now she's feeling good since she had her surgery, so she all healed up, so she doing all kinds of stuff. Pumpkin, get out of there. Leave that alone. He goes to Lisa Marie and tells her, if you ever want to come see me about, your dad, because Lisa Marie tells him, I know you're the one who killed my father. And he was like, well, if you ever want to come see me about it, I'll be in California, or whatever. And she gives him the locket, which is the final piece of the puzzle, which will end any type of investigations against Ghost or Tommy. And we see Tommy ride out into the sunset to Regulators, mount up. Oh, don't you just love that Warren G and Nate Dogg? Absolutely. But I just knew the whole time they were driving, I was like, something is going to happen to Tommy. Someone is going to kill Tommy. And that is not what happened. So that concludes my thoughts on that episode. Now we're going to go into this episode of Reversal of Fortune, with focuses on Tate. I see a lot of my people on Twitter saying that we really should have given Paz, Dre, and Tate their own one episode. But I kind of like the Rashad Tate episode. We kind of really got to see what a shitty individual he is, because he really ain't shit, okay? We see in the beginning, in the previews, they go back and give us a whole rundown of what happened and transpired between Ghost and Tate. And we see the amount of hubris spewing from Ghost's mouth, how he was so cocky and so confident that shit was going to be sweet for him in the end, and that, Tate is just a loser. But in the end, we see who wins, and it is Rashad Tate. And like his brother said, for some reason, if there was even a minuscule amount of win for you in it, it always happens for you. But we also saw in this episode where Rashad Tate kind of lets us know that, yeah, I know I've been a fuckboy, but I also want what you have, bro. And that's the family. And, I don't have a wife. I don't have a child or children. This is my lonely life. And that's why I'm a fuckboy. So either way, let's take it from the top about this episode, okay? We open up with him being in a nightclub getting drunk as fuck because he is defeated and devastated on the fact that James St. Patrick, a corner boy turned into a businessman, big time dope dealer, has taken what he feels is his rightful place on the throne of the Democrat Party as lieutenant governor. And so anyway, he tells old girl he wants to go home with her. He ain't never not satisfied a woman. And I was like, looks like that's not going to happen because, buddy, you are drunk as fuck. Okay. Then we see, old girl makes a phone call. She says, hey, your brother down here. I don't know who I was expecting to be his brother, but I kind of like the fact that they used his real life brother to come and get him from down to the bar. And his brother seems to be well adjusted. We learned that he is a member of the NYPD and he has a great little family going on with a very intelligent son. Then, we see the announcement go out where St. Patrick is going to be lieutenant governor, and he is devastated and hurt by this. Next thing we know, he gets on the phone and makes a phone call. But before that phone call comes in, we see that it is Cedric the Entertainer, who is a country music loving hitman. I don't feel bad for the dude that they were torturing initially. Like, oh my God, how terrible is this? All this waterboarding and torture going on. But he was a pedophile, so the world has one less pedophile in it. Boy, maybe we should do that to all the pedophiles. Like, just torture them and then kill them. I don't know. But either way, needless to say, he gets a phone call and Rashad wants him to come. And these are the hitters that he hired. Now, I'm just going to kind of fast forward through this. This is when we learned that Rashad had called this old black man and his son to come and take care of James. But then he decides not to. And Cedric the Entertainer's character still wants to go through with this hit. But my thing is, why don't you just take the money? Because he was like, say, man, I feel his dumbass son was like, I feel like he didn't hire somebody else, daddy, and we can do it faster and cheaper. And he was like, no, I don't know about the cheaper part, but we can do it. And I just felt like y'all probably should have just taken the money because, number one, these yahoos didn't even study James's comings and goings. You need at least a week to scope out somebody to figure out what the hell it is that they got going on, but not these dumbasses. So needless to say, that is why your father ended up dead, young man. And you ended up on the run and barely escaping with your life. And he does call Tate and confront him about this during this episode. And, Tate, of course, tries to distance himself from this because he feels like even in that moment that he is having a reverse, that his bid for governor is not over. He's very confident, very cocky in his abilities, right? So that's pretty much how they ended up, and that explains how when Tommy and Ghost met up and people started shooting at him, and then we saw the old black man, we now know who that is. So I kind of wrapped that up in a nice little bow. Anyway, Rashad and his brother get in the car and go for a ride, and Rashad goes to this nice restaurant, all these nice fancy people confronting the Democrat dude. Why do I know him from somewhere? Didn't he have a show where he was like a personal physician or something? The white dude that was going around telling people that James St. Patrick was the property of the Democratic Party or whatever. But I can't remember the name of that show, but I remember, I think it came on USA or something. But either way, he comes in there and confronts him and tells him, I need y'all to still back me. And they basically tell him now is not a good time. Ramona threatens to call the cops on him. And he's like, the Democratic Party told Barack Obama it wasn't a good time for him to run. And look how it turned out for him. But I'm like, you son ain't no Barack Obama. I'm pretty sure we would have known if Barack Obama was going around paying people to kill folk and doing corrupt shit that sometimes cops tend to do. But I digress. Needless to say, Walsh has the reason to say we don't want another black man being hemmed up in a hoodie by the cops. Okay. Then Tate goes to the church. The pastor tells him, you made promises to me. I said, Really, pastor? Is that all you're concerned about? You should be praying for this young man. He got a lot on his mind. But when Rashad said, well, tell the Lord to get off his ass and give him his blessing, I was like, oh my God, how inappropriate, and in church too. But at this point, Rashad Tate is kind of out of fucks to give. So, okay. Then there's a campaign worker who comes to Tate and has the nerve to ask for a recommendation. Now, in the rest of this episode, this same campaign worker comes to the office and tries to take contacts off of a computer for the campaign, which technically is the property of the campaign. And that's when Rashad gets really angry and starts throwing coffee mugs at him. And I was like, oh my God, this is just team too much. Another thing I like that was funny about Cedric the Entertainer's character and his son is the fact that he does educate some people. We all know, most of us who study music history, especially Black, I took both the Black musical experience and the musical experience, did historical studies, country music, rock, all of that, derivatives of Black music. But it was more so adopted by the other cultures, more so than by ours. But we do have Charlie Pride and quite a few other Black people in country music. And of course, in rock, there are quite a few of us too. In particular, my husband, Lenny Kravitz. Yes, okay. Either way, Tate goes to tell James that the hitters are coming for him, but because James is so confident and such a pompous ass, so full of hubris, until he can't even get a word out to tell him about Tariq. He can't get a word out to tell him about the hitters coming. So Tate is just like, fuck it. You know what? Die. Who cares? Just die. So then he leaves Truth. He goes to this coffee shop. And then this is when we start to see Tate get really like, you know what? I can make it. I can do this. I can win this campaign, because people are like, oh my God, we all love Tate. And it's just so wonderful for him. He's just like, oh my God, I can still be run for governor. This is going to be great. Hey, Miss Anika, how are you? So then we see Cassandra is hanging out at the campaign office. He's like, why the hell are you here? She was like, the first rule of campaign, of course, is always take your keys before you fire somebody. He was like, I didn't fire you. I set you up for a congressional seat. And so the Democrats sent her to ask him to concede so that the party can be united. If y'all remember in the 2016 elections, this is exactly what happened. During the campaign, we saw a split between Hillary and Bernie Sanders, which of course now I think is hilarious, how Hillary is like, don't nobody like Bernie Sanders. I'm like, are we still bitter, Hillary? Are we still bitter? Girl, just let it go. It was not your time, but we still love you, girl. So anyways, Tate basically told her to get the fuck out and bitch leave the keys. That he didn't say that exactly, but I feel like that's what he was saying to her. Disappointed, I messed around and watched it. Watch what? Power? It was, or did you watch the spoiler? Let's see. So what else happened in this episode? So, oh shit, what happened to the rest of my Twitter notes? Oh no. Okay, let me look at something else. So anyway, needless to say, I think that Rashad probably was really invigorated by that one campaign stop. Okay, honey. So then, hold up, y'all. Something happened. I don't know why it cut off. But either way, let's see what else happened. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry about this. I didn't mean to go dead air. But when Tariq, he goes and confronts Tasha too. He goes to tell Tasha about the goings-ons of her husband and, her ex-husband. And that's when I think Tasha probably got Tariq and they rounded each other up and probably ended up at Club Truth. And that's probably how James ended up getting murdered by his own family members. But I thought James and Tasha had already talked about that. Remember, he had said that we'll get him to take the fall, and then, we'll get him, and as once I make it to the level of governor, I can get him pardoned or whatever. So, needless to say, the son that tried to call Tate to tell him about what happened. But my thing is this, I still will continue to say this. Y'all were stupid for not following him. It is not your fault that you did not know that he hung out with a white dude and who also carried a gun, and your father could also possibly get hit. Y'all just didn't make it home tonight, okay? So anyway, needless to say, while he's out taking the trash out at his brother's house, Carter comes and confronts him. And the fuck up is all on Carter and his father, but Tate is scum of the earth, so maybe taking a bullet wouldn't be so bad for him at all, after all, right? But needless to say, he tried it. Tate's brother was watching. Pop, you dead. So that's the end of it. Tate tries to make it out to his big brother as if it was a crackhead mugging, but his brother informs him that this neighborhood is basically gentrified, so we really don't have crime around the neighborhood like that. So his brother knows something is up. Then while Tate is talking to his brother, he gets a emergency phone call from the campaign office. Y'all, this shit was the most cold-blooded shit I've ever seen. They called him because they wanted him to come down to the campaign office and open it up so they can get their shit. The Democrat Party wants their shit that they didn't give it to his campaign. I said, that's cold-blooded. Then next thing we know, we find out that James St. Patrick, or there's been a shooting at Truth while they're at the police station. But his brother knows that he's up to no good during this conversation with him. He says, well, I might know that Andre Coleman might have shot Ghost. And his brother's like, how do you know? I just know. So then him and Rashad get into it. And his brother is like, you stay winning. But in the end, we learned that he's like, yeah, I might be a winner in this arena, but I don't have a wife and I don't have kids. You're winning. Some people don't realize that about their lives. Like, some people want the glitz and the glam and the fame, but sometimes it's really lonely at the top if you don't have a good support system. So whatever it looks like to you, you never know what people are going through unless you're in their situation. Then his brother told him to stay his ass in the car when they get to the damn scene of the crime. Tate gets a gun and decides he gonna go check things out. But I'm like, you dumbass, your face is recognizable. Why are you out here with a gun with press and people that know you? Okay. Sure enough, here comes a news reporter, and with a live mic, he claims he doesn't want to give a statement. But then when he learns that James is dead, he decides to give a heartfelt speech saying, let's allow these people to do their job. And let's have a moment of silence for James St. Patrick, because his story is the story of so many, and blah, blah, blah. And his brother's like, how the hell you come up with all that bullshit just like that? Because he's a politician. That's what they do. Next thing you know, there's a meeting at his brother's house. James' body ain't even cold in the morgue, but like dude said, this is politics. Things must move quickly and swiftly. And they decide to talk to him about becoming lieutenant governor. But Rashad immediately tells him, hold up. Nah, that's not the deal I want. I want to be governor. And Lorette Walsh is like, what? Hold up. This is my seat. This is my thing. He cannot have it. And he tells her, you've been pandering for the black vote so long, you know, you'll never have it, not without a black candidate. It's basically what he tells him. And then the white dude is like, yeah, girl, you need to go. Either you wait in the car or call yourself a cab, but we're going to talk about this, okay? Next thing we know, Tate in the pulpit of all places, after the way he was blasphemous towards God right there in that very pew that he's talking before with all these people, and he announces his candidacy, and he's got the people really riled up and ready to support him. And then afterwards, his brother says, I just want to let you know that your boy Coleman is dead. and talk about how lucky you are. Okay. That's when the cameras come on and Tate decides, you know what, I'm going to screw everybody over in this whole deal, Ramona included. And he tells people that Ramona and Ghost were involved in an adulterous affair. I'm like, the only sex we've seen this season has been you, my brother. The whole time. If y'all think about it, Tate is the only one we've seen get busy this whole season, okay, with that girl Cassandra, okay? I was like, I hope Ramona sues you for defamation because it is not true. Later on, we see Tate once again screwing in a hotel room. The girl that he had told that he was going to help her get a congressional seat, the girl whose marriage he helped destroy and break up. And that's when there's a knock on the door after they've had this great twist in the bed. And I thought when the knock came, honestly, I said, somebody is going to shoot the shit out of Tate. Nope, fate just won't let that be his fate. Okay. He ends up, it's Ramona, and she's like, how dare you? How dare you tell people that I was not sleeping with James? And so he was like, you weren't. She was like, maybe before you go opening your mouth, maybe you should know facts. And he's like, well, from now on going forward, whenever you go on the job interview, they'll think that you had an adulterous affair with a big time dope dealer. You'll always have to answer for that. And I'm just like, no, she don't, after she sue your ass. Okay. Hope you got some good insurance. But anyways, but the coldest line ever out of tonight came from when Sandy was like, oh, hey, Ramona. And she thinks she's the woman in power, right? Like she's got the upper hand. But she learns after Ramona departs that Tate is like, girl, I was using you to blow off some steam. I just need to bust a nut. That's about it, because thank you for helping me clear my head. And then he said, if you hurry, you can split a Uber with old girl. I was like, oh, that is so cold. Oh my God. Talk about sleeping with the enemy. But either way, as the episode closes out, we see there's a big news announcement about who is being arrested for the murder of James St. Patrick. And I can't wait to see who it is. Will it be Tasha? Will it be Tariq? Will it be Tasha's lover who used to come by the daycare? I'm just saying, who could it possibly be? Could it be Cooper? Could it possibly be Blanco? Who knows? But we do know that we know who shot Ghost. It's just a matter of who will be arrested for Ghost. But this concludes my thoughts on the last two episodes. Again, to all the fans, friends, and family of Kobe Bryant, I say to all of you, peace be unto you. God is close to the brokenhearted. And I'm so very sorry for your loss. Anyways, I've been Miss Sophia the Diva. Chin up, buttercups. The sun will come out again, I promise you. But in the meantime, in between time, stay fabulous.